get started, I want to show you some images of the archaeological park today so that you have an understanding, first of all, of how big it is. To get there, the best way is to take the train from Naples, and you can take the regular commuter line, which is called the Circumvesuviana. And when you arrive, you will see that you are in Pompeii with one eye, which is the modern city, and the archaeological park, also called the Scavi, have two eyes. So that is often a point of confusion when people arrive at a train station and they see a big, bustling, modern town around them. So this is a map that shows you the archaeological park, and the areas that are in green are all of the areas of the city within the ancient walls of the city that remain completely unexcavated. It's quite a bit. And the new excavations that are taking place are indicated here by these yellow lines. So this is moving into a part of Pompeii that was considered a wealthy, more residential corridor. And will all of this be excavated? Probably not in our lifetimes, but at some point, yes. And then you can see on the perimeter of the city, of the archaeological ruins, in fact, a lot of, on the bottom, modern buildings, because it is a really dense city. And the first time I visited there, it was almost a shock about, hey, you guys didn't learn the lesson of what happened the last time. We built such a dense urban grid around a volcano. But in fact, life there persists. And modern Pompeii, though the buildings are very contemporary, probably isn't that far off in terms of the bustle and the hum and the spirit of ancient Pompeii. And then you can also see adjacent to the city that there is a lot of farmland. The fertile ground of Mount Vesuvius is why this area remains irresistible despite the destructive power of Mount Vesuvius, which is always looming. The mineral-rich soil creates some of the most beautiful fruits and vegetables, and the most famous of all of those are San Marzano tomatoes, which come from neighboring Sarno. But apricots, any kind of fruit you can think of, it just grows with an abundance along Mount Vesuvius, and it makes Pompeii and Naples, of course, one of the best places to eat in all of Italy because of that beautiful soil. And here is an image, an aerial view of the Scavi, the archaeological park of Pompeii. And as you can probably see, of course, it is very dense. Pompeii was a big, bustling city. It was slightly less important than Naples, but Pozzuoli was really the main port for the Romans. At this time, Naples was really kind of more of a seaside resort town. Pompeii was a place where rich people and poor people and enslaved people lived very close together, stuffed into an urban grid right next to each other. So as you explore Pompeii, there's really kind of any street where you could choose to walk, where you could visit the homes of wealthy people, see the quarters within those homes where enslaved people live, see bakeries, see places where animals were kept. Every aspect of daily life is packed into this urban grid. And so if you're looking at this and starting to feel intimidated, saying, how on earth am I going to visit this all, even with the most comfortable shoes I have? Don't worry, it's really impossible to see it all. But any one of these streets will give you so much information and such a deep experience of life in the first century Rome that you will walk away with really profound understanding that is really almost impossible to gain solely from looking at books. I mean, there is so much information about Pompeii, and a lot of it is really well done. It has been developed, especially in the past 20 years, to paint a very, very vivid picture. But there is really nothing like walking these streets. Here's just a closer look as we can see the main street in Pompeii, one of them, how it crosses with another, and all of these little sidewalk adjacent homes and shops that existed there. So first, let's go back in time and talk about Pompeii in the year 79. The emperor was Vespasian, and there are many stories about the destruction of Pompeii that were written and shared during the Victorian era. And this is a painting that comes from not from Roman antiquity, but from much later, that really spends a lot of time sort of musing on the destruction and the terror that people must have felt. Now, at the time, the Bay of Naples was a really fabulous place to live. After the first century, the wars that resulted in the first century BCE that led to the installation of the Emperor Augustus, really the end of the Roman Senate, from the time of Julius Caesar's assassination to a series of civil wars to the crowning of the Emperor Augustus. The political turmoil in the capital city in Rome led the higher elite Roman citizens and more middle class ones to leave the capital and go back to their roots in Campania. And today, the region where Naples is the capital and where you find Pompeii is called Campania. And they called it Campania Felix, meaning happy countryside.